I just recorded like 3 minutes of intro and I never hit record. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I am Little Amazon, but people also call me LA or Z, so I mean, it's pretty much choose your own adventure, but with whatever you want to call me. There is no greater class of character for me in any sort of show than the absolutely unhinged himbo, essentially. And there is no greater example of this for me than Inosuke from Demon Slayer. I have finally gotten around to creating my own Inosuke cosplay and I am so excited. We're not gonna look over here though, just yet. He's a work in progress. But for today's video, we are going to be creating Inosuke's swords. If you're anything like me, the thought of creating swords for a cosplay is super daunting and overwhelming, but don't worry, I got you. In the description box below, there is a link to the blueprints that I created for these swords. Of course, because Inosuke is a savage and took a rock to his swords, there are the little jagged pieces, but you can also use this blueprint for any other katana that you want to create. Just don't cut out the jagged bits, just go straight across, and then you've got a katana blueprint. I really hope this tutorial will help you, and if you want to create your own Inosuke swords, keep on watching. Starting out, you're going to want to print out the blueprint, tape all the pieces together, and cut everything out. Next, you're going to lay the pattern on 5mm EVA foam and trace out 4 pieces. Don't trace out the little cutouts just yet. Cut everything out using a sharp blade, and as you can see, the foam is a little bit wobbly, but we're gonna fix that, don't worry. Separate the rest of the pattern pieces by handle and by like the top of the blade and the bottom of the blade. Next, you're gonna take the 2 pieces of the sword, put them together, and trace out all the little pattern pieces, just so that you know where you should Dremel to put in the wire. Now, I lost the footage of the dremeling, unfortunately, but you're going to want to make it deep enough that the wire sits, but you don't want to go all the way through the foam. I basically just took my Dremel bit and sanded very carefully from the tip all the way into the handle. Now you're going to take some contact cement, and I'm using 3mm wire, measuring out how much wire I need, and I'm using 2 strips of wire per sword. Glue the wire in and glue the 2 sword pieces together with the wire in between inside that little channel. Now you're once again going to want to take your pattern pieces and trace all along the outside. Now you're going to use this to actually build up your sword. To cut out the little hole at the bottom here, I would suggest rather using an X-Acto knife, but I couldn't find mine, so... And now you see it's not floppy anymore, yay! Taking some 2mm foam, the super thin foam, we're going to trace out the handle piece again, and we're going to cut out 2 per sword. Cut it out, use contact cement to glue it on either side of the sword, just to give the sword a little bit extra thickness. Now you're going to take your Dremel and Dremel all the way around the sword to sort of make everything level and even. You're also going to want to round out the corners of your handle a little bit. Don't do this for your sword, just for the handle. And then you're also going to use your Dremel to create the sword shape. So from the line that you drew, you're going to want to Dremel a bit of like a gradient into a point to make that blade shape. Don't go past that line that you drew though. And now some super satisfying cleaning, my favorite part. Now you're going to want to blast your heat gun over the 2 swords. This is going to heat seal the foam, and it is also going to get rid of all those little fuzzies that you can see. Now we're going to take a big rock and get all those gouges out. those Inosuke gouges. No, I'm kidding. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to trace it out and use a sharp blade. Wow, wonderful elbow content right there. 10 out of 10. Take a sharper blade and cut out all the pieces, making sure to stick to the pattern of each piece. Like, they're very distinct shapes. You don't want to lose those shapes. Now, when you're dremeling in those little sections, it can be quite tough. Just take your time, go slow, angle the Dremel however you need to angle it to get it sanded, but also to not mess up the corners. And the base of your sword is done. Now you are just ready for painting and priming. Good job. Please ignore the little things separating the blade and the handle. I added it and then decided that I hated it, and it is also not accurate to the swords, so I do take that off later. Now you can prime your swords by using 5 to 6 layers of wood glue, making sure that each layer dries before starting the next one. And to get rid of the little bits of brush strokes that there are, I just took a really fine sanding bit and just basically sanded down all the little brush strokes. I used this silver acrylic paint, but I decided this was a little bit too bright for what I was looking for, so I added the tiniest little smidgen of black acrylic paint as well. We want it to look like a dark metal-y sort of color, and I think it came together really well. I quite like this shade. I did do multiple layers of this paint as well, just to make sure that the color was solid and there was no brush strokes. Just take your time, there's no rush, it'll be okay. And don't forget to paint the ends of your swords. I didn't paint my handles because they're covered in fabric anyway, but make sure to paint the ends. Now you're going to take these pattern pieces and you're going to just trace them out onto the swords on either side so that you can do the blue piece. I took the same silver and black mixture and just added some blue as well. And now just be careful when you put your paintbrush down that you don't make a huge mess. No, wait, hang on, I said don't make a huge mess. Good job. But yeah, there is the color. I did decide later on that it wasn't dark enough, so I added a little bit more black. To make painting a little bit easier as well, I suggest taking a jar and just shoving it full of things that can basically hold the sword upright for you. That way you can paint both sides without having to wait for the one side to dry first. I would suggest putting masking tape over the silver part of the blade, just so that when you paint over you can have nice crisp lines. I didn't do that because I decided that I wanted the silver part of my sword to be a little bit darker, so I decided to do the blue first, mask off the blue, and then redo the silver over it. This is just me masking off the blue side, just so that we can get some nice crisp lines. Oof, look at that ear content. Also, try to peel the masking tape off before the paint dries. Otherwise, if you do it after the paint has dried, it can peel off the work that you've already done as well. So do the paint that you need to do and then peel off the tape. Oh, so satisfying. Look at that. So pretty. And here's me being super proud of myself. Yes, yes, flaunt your stuff. Okay, so now I just took a little bit of scrap white fabric that I had, and I basically folded it in half and cut a bunch of strips. I didn't really have a rhyme or reason with this. Some were thicker, some were thinner. I just went with my gut and cut out a bunch of strips. Before dealing with the handle though, I also just coated the sword in some varnish just to protect the paint job and to protect the sword. And then I pushed the end of the fabric through the hole and then started, whoa, touched by an angel there. Gosh. And then I basically just started twisting the fabric around the handle slowly. Try to make it tight, but obviously not too tight that you damage your foam, but you do want it to be tight so it doesn't slip around. And when you get to the end of a strip, just hold it down and put the other strip, like the next strip, over the end, just so that the end gets weaved in. And you're basically just going to keep rotating. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to rotate all the way down and then bring the fabric all the way back up so that you can tie the two ends together, like so. Do a pretty little knot at the top. Now this is Inosuke. He is the king of the mountain. He does not have pristine white sword handles. We cannot possibly have that. I basically took this big fluffy brush and some light brown eyeshadow and basically just brushed it over. You're going to want to brush it lengthways so that the eyeshadow catches underneath all the little folds as well. And there you have it. You have Inosuke swords. Well done. Clap, clap. I'm so proud of you. And don't forget, this blueprint can also be used for any other kind of katana that you want to create. Just don't cut out the little jaggedy pieces and you're good to go. I hope this tutorial has helped you along with your Inosuke cosplay journey, and I hope that this has helped you channel your inner himbo. If you do recreate these swords, please tag me. I would love to see it. Good luck with making the swords, good luck with Monjiro, and peace out.